August 1944, somewhere in northern France near the Belgium border, a military convoy from Supreme Headquarters Allied Command Europe, SHACE, is traveling toward forward positions to conduct tactical inspections. General Bernard Montgomery sits reviewing tactical maps in his vehicle. The convoy slows, approaching a checkpoint. Military police wave them through, but suddenly the lead vehicle stops abruptly. A battered truck blocks the road completely, covered in dust and mud. No visible markings, no flags, just a weathered vehicle that looks battle-worn beyond measure. A middle-aged officer in a torn field jacket sits in the driver's seat, no insignia visible anywhere. His uniform is so dust-covered it's impossible determining rank. He's arguing intensely with an MP attempting to redirect him out of the way. "Sir, you need to move immediately. General Montgomery's inspection convoy is approaching within minutes." "I'm not moving," the dusty officer replies stubbornly. "I'm waiting for reconnaissance reports from forward scouts. We're holding critical observations here that cannot be abandoned." Montgomery's driver pulls alongside cautiously. "Sir, should we order him to move?" Montgomery studies the man blocking passage carefully. Something seems familiar, but he cannot identify it precisely. "Who is that officer?" Montgomery asks his aide. "Unknown, sir. Just an officer refusing movement orders." The MP is losing patience rapidly. "Sir, I'm ordering you to move now immediately. This is a priority convoy carrying senior command. I'm ordering you to wait here," the officer responds. Then the dusty officer turns and recognizes Montgomery's vehicle clearly. His weathered face changes expression. "Bernie, what brings you out here conducting field inspections?" Montgomery stares in complete disbelief. That voice, that confidence, that complete disregard for protocol and procedure. "That's General Alexander," Montgomery whispers in shock. "Of course it's me. Who else would be conducting reconnaissance this far forward into danger?" Alexander replies casually. Montgomery's aide gasps audibly. "Sir, that's General Alexander, 3rd Army's commanding general." Apparently Montgomery responds, still processing what he's seeing. The MP who was ordering Alexander around moments before turns absolutely pale. "Oh God, I've been yelling at General Alexander. I've been giving orders to a 3-star general." Alexander waves dismissively without concern. "You are following established procedure correctly. Continue doing so. Your job is protecting this convoy." Then to Montgomery directly. "You have time. I can show you what's actually happening at the front, not the sanitized intelligence headquarters provides in their clean briefings." This is the incredible true story of how General Alexander repeatedly encountered superior officers and they failed recognizing him because he deliberately dressed like a battle-worn supply officer rather than a distinguished 3-star commander. And why this revolutionary strategy proved so effective for field operations throughout the entire European campaign. Want to discover more hidden HISTORIES? Subscribe to WW2 Records Maker for weekly RELEASES of incredible untold stories. General Alexander maintains 2 completely distinct uniforms for different tactical situations. For official uniform, immaculate dress jacket perfectly tailored, polished insignia gleaming, tailored trousers with sharp creases, gleaming boots polished to mirror shine, helmet with 3 stars prominently displayed, medals arranged in perfect order, every single button reflecting light brilliantly. For field reconnaissance uniform, weathered field jacket with absolutely no identifying insignia whatsoever, standard issue helmet, usually dented from combat or damaged, boots covered in accumulated mud from weeks in trenches, no visible rank markers anywhere, no medals, no identification patches. Sometimes just a worn cap instead of helmet entirely. When I need officers recognizing my authority and respecting rank, I wear formal parade uniform, Alexander explains carefully to his command staff during briefing. When I need understanding combat situations with complete truthfulness and honesty, I disappear completely into the crowd. I become invisible. His reasoning carries significant tactical merit beyond simple explanation. A commander in full regalia and dress uniform becomes a priority target for enemy snipers specifically hunting officers. Distinguished insignia marks officers immediately for elimination by trained marksmen. Wearing obvious rank and insignia at the front constitutes extreme risk of death. But Alexander takes it considerably further than tactical necessity requires him to. He deliberately makes himself look shabby, worn, completely anonymous, entirely unidentifiable as anyone important or of rank. Why deliberately cultivate such an unprofessional appearance? An aide questions respectfully. Because when I look ordinary and common, people reveal absolute truth to me. Alexander responds thoughtfully. They believe I'm a regular field officer conducting routine inspections. They tell me what's actually occurring rather than what they believe I want hearing. That's priceless intelligence no formal report provides. No briefing document. No communication through proper channels can capture that reality. His uniform strategy works consistently. Nobody recognizes Alexander when he wears his dirty field clothes. Senior officers pass him without acknowledgement. Enlisted soldiers treat him as peer. Enemy forces cannot identify him as high-value target. This deception becomes his greatest operational weapon throughout the war. September 1944. Near the Meuse River in Belgium, General Montgomery visits forward defensive positions personally. He discovers several officers studying enemy positions intently through observation equipment and binoculars. Among them is a man in filthy uniform sketching German defensive preparations carefully. Excellent reconnaissance work here, Montgomery comments to the sketching officer, assuming he's intelligence personnel or junior officer. Your tactical analysis is genuinely superior. Very impressive work. Thanks, Bernie, the officer responds without looking up from his sketches. Montgomery freezes completely. That voice, that familiarity. He examines the man properly despite substantial dirt coverage. Despite absent insignia and lack of rank markers, recognition strikes him forcefully. Alexander, what are you doing here at a forward observation post? Alexander finally looks up from his work. Field reconnaissance. Same as your people conducting observations, but I personally verify all information before relying on it. You're commanding general of 3rd Army Operations. You shouldn't be at observation posts within German artillery range. That's unnecessarily dangerous. How else do I understand enemy dispositions and positions? Alexander asks logically. Intelligence summaries provided to headquarters are always hours outdated. I require current information. I need reality. Staff officers exist for this function supposedly, but they provide filtered reports. Alexander replies to Montgomery. Staff officers tell me their interpretations and assumptions. I observe truth directly through my own eyes. Montgomery notices Alexander's sketches contain detailed defensive layouts, machine gun positions, artillery locations, probable command posts, supply routes, movement patterns. You personally drew all this tactical analysis and mapping yourself. Who else should conduct it? Alexander responds philosophically. Bernie, you want understanding why our forces advance faster operationally, because I know terrain personally. I identify exactly where Germans position forces. I identify their weak points. I don't rely on second-hand interpretations filtered through command channels and staff meetings. Montgomery cannot dispute results. The evidence is obvious, yet frustration rises inside him. Alexander, if you're killed conducting forward reconnaissance, I answer to higher command for your loss. The responsibility falls on me. Then I'm dying doing my responsibility, Alexander interrupts calmly. Better than dying behind comfortable headquarters, never understanding what soldiers face. After Alexander departs the observation post, Montgomery's aide asks curiously, why didn't General Alexander inform you beforehand about conducting personal reconnaissance? Because then you'd order immediate withdrawal before reconnaissance completion, Alexander would have replied if present. This way, I gathered critical intelligence, and you delivered necessary warnings to protect me. Everyone accomplished their objectives perfectly. Don't miss the next incredible story. Hit that notification bell now. Stay updated. December 1944. Near the Luxembourg border, Alexander conducts dangerous reconnaissance approaching German lines personally with only his driver. Suddenly, rifle fire erupts without warning. Bullets snap through surrounding air violently. His driver dives for cover immediately. "Sir, get down immediately. Take cover." Alexander remains standing calmly, studying carefully where shots originated from. "Sir, you'll be killed instantly." "He's not targeting me specifically," Alexander responds calmly with certainty. "He's targeting the vehicle itself. He believes we're supply personnel conducting routine operations. That's why he fired." "Sir, another shot." This round passes close enough that Alexander feels pressure waves from the bullet. "All right, that one was deliberately aimed at me specifically," Alexander admits. He dives behind the vehicle. The sniper fires repeatedly, then silence falls. "Why has firing ceased completely?" the driver asks. "Because he cannot determine who we are precisely," Alexander replies thoughtfully. "We're not uniformed like officers in dress. We're not behaving like supply troops would behave. We're simply two random Americans in a weathered vehicle." He's confused and uncertain about what he's targeting. He's hesitant. They wait 10 full minutes without sound. No additional shots arrive. "Let's move," Alexander says quietly. "Go slowly. Don't simulate retreat. Don't look scared." They return to the vehicle and drive away deliberately casual, as though sniper fire was minor inconvenience not worth concern. Much later, safely at headquarters with walls around them, the driver asks, "Sir, you deliberately avoid wearing rank insignia at the front. Is this protection against snipers specifically?" "Partially," Alexander admits honestly. "German snipers specifically hunt for generals. Stars on helmet make you target priority. Distinguished insignia marks you for elimination, but that's secondary reasoning honestly. Primarily, I maintain anonymity, so I move without everyone treating me as visiting dignitary creating performance. I move without ceremony." "You're seeking to be unnoticed." The driver questions. "I'm seeking to be effective," Alexander corrects firmly. "You cannot learn anything when everyone performs for the general. When soldiers believe I'm just another field officer conducting inspections, they behave naturally. They don't perform. They don't lie. I observe genuine situations, real morale, real problems, real needs." Private William Henderson writes his family January 1945. "Dear Mother, something extraordinary occurred yesterday that changed my perspective completely. We occupied freezing foxhole in the trenches, complaining endlessly about everything, the cold, the food, the fear. We were miserable. Then this older man approached us silently. He was incredibly muddy, appeared fighting for extended duration. No rank visible on uniform anywhere. We assumed he was major or captain based on his bearing. He sat with us without ceremony, asking how conditions were. We told him honestly everything. We're cold. We're exhausted. We're absolutely terrified. He simply listened carefully without interrupting. He didn't lecture about duty or courage, just listened carefully. Then he questioned our equipment, our ammunition, our supplies, our needs. We explained what we required desperately. He documented everything in notebook. Before departing, Tom asked, "What's your name, sir?" The man smiled warmly. "Alexander," he replied simply. Mother, we'd complained directly to General Alexander, 3rd Army's commanding general, for 20 minutes without recognizing him because he looked like one of us. We complained to his face about conditions without fear. After he left, our lieutenant arrived asking what General Alexander required from us. We explained everything we'd said. By next morning, we received everything we'd requested. Better ammunition, cold weather gear, superior rations. Alexander remembered our conversation. He came personally, listened to regular soldiers' complaints, and resolved our problems within 24 hours. That's leadership I understand. Now I understand why soldiers in Third Army would follow Alexander anywhere without question. He doesn't command from comfortable headquarters removed from danger. He comes to us, experiences what we experience, understands our struggles intimately. I've stopped complaining about freezing temperatures. If Alexander sleeps in foxholes at age 62, I can manage at 23. If my commanding general shares our suffering, I'll follow him anywhere. Your devoted son, William. That letter represents countless similar letters discovered in archives after the war. Soldiers encounter Alexander repeatedly. They don't recognize him initially. They complain directly to him honestly. They experience shock discovering his identity. Consistently, they report that Alexander resolves their problems within days. He remembers their names. He remembers their needs. He takes action. War photographers attached to Third Army operations receive standing orders from Alexander's staff repeatedly. When encountering the general at the front, absolutely no photographs, no pictures, no exceptions whatsoever. Why exactly? One photographer questions during briefing. Because if Germans see photographs of Alexander at the front, they'll understand his actual appearance during reconnaissance operations. An officer explains carefully. Currently, they believe he always wears dress uniform with prominent rank insignia. We maintain this deception deliberately. We want them confused about what he looks like. We want them hunting for the wrong person. The photographers comply without exception. This secrecy proves vital to Alexander's safety. Famous photographs of Alexander, gleaming helmet, immaculate uniform, polished revolvers, perfect appearance, all originate from headquarters or official ceremonies. These images circulate worldwide. Enemy intelligence studies them carefully, but they show only one version of the general. Unofficial photographs showing Alexander in muddy fields, sleeping in foxholes, walking frontlines remain unpublished throughout the entire war. They remain classified. They remain hidden. One photographer does capture Alexander at the front wearing his anonymous reconnaissance clothing. The photograph shows him bearing no resemblance to his official image. Dirty, exhausted, looking indistinguishable from any worn battlefield officer, looking like any supply sergeant who's been in the field too long. The photograph becomes classified immediately, unreleased until after the war's conclusion decades later. Why classify this particular photograph so carefully? Someone later asks. Because Alexander's survival depended on Germans not recognizing him while conducting reconnaissance, an intelligence officer explained seriously. German snipers currently hunt for the general wearing fancy uniform with stars. If they realized Alexander appears as ordinary muddy officer while forward conducting reconnaissance, they would eliminate him within days. Operational security required absolute secrecy. The photograph threatened his life. This incredible deception changed warfare forever. Like this video and subscribe to wwii Records Maker. Join our growing community. April 1945. Deep within recently conquered German territory, Alexander walks through newly captured zones accompanied solely by his driver, both wearing unmarked uniforms. They encounter German soldiers unaware of surrender announcements. The Germans raise weapons immediately at them. Alexander doesn't raise his hands instinctively. He simply stands, hands visible, appearing completely unconcerned, calm, confident. Americans, one German asks in broken English. Yes, Alexander replies simply. Officer, the German questions. Yes. The Germans lower weapons slightly. They're searching for surrender opportunity. The war is obviously lost completely. Hitler is dead. Germany is defeated. But surrendering to random Americans feels somehow humiliating. What rank? The German asks formally. Do you have rank? Alexander considers fabricating a lower rank, saying he's colonel or major. Something inside him compels absolute honesty instead. General, Third Army. The German's eyes widen dramatically. His companions recognize that name immediately. Everyone knows Alexander. You are Alexander, General Alexander. Yes, Alexander confirms simply. Intense tension hangs in the air. Seconds extend like minutes. The Germans could shoot. They're sufficiently close for accuracy. They could kill him easily. Then the German slowly lowers his weapon completely. The other soldiers follow. We surrender, they say. To Alexander is honor. We surrender to you. Soldiers lay down weapons peacefully. No resistance. No fighting. Alexander's driver, who has been holding his breath throughout, finally exhales. Sir, he says, after the Germans are secured, you could have been killed unnecessarily. You gambled with your life. Perhaps Alexander replies thoughtfully, but lying about my rank, if subsequently discovered, might have made them feel betrayed and violent. Honesty provided honorable surrender option. That gave them dignity. That calculated enormous risk, though. War involves constant calculated risks, Alexander responds. I simply wagered on truthfulness. I bet on human nature. Apparently it worked. After the war concludes, historians and fellow officers question Alexander's staff extensively about these practices. They want understanding. Why deliberately make himself anonymous and unidentifiable? Why take such enormous risks? General Summers, Alexander's chief of staff, he desired observing reality rather than performance. Soldiers behave completely differently when commanding general is watching. By appearing ordinary, Alexander witnessed unfiltered truth. He saw real morale, real conditions, real problems. Colonel Harrison, operations officer, pure reconnaissance methodology through personal observation. Alexander trusted personal observations above any staff report. He gathered intelligence visiting the front personally that no officer confined to headquarters could possibly obtain. He verified information himself. Sergeant Morrison, Alexander's driver for 3 years. He genuinely cared about soldiers' welfare and their families. He needed understanding their experiences, their struggles, their requirements. Headquarters prevented such understanding completely. Officers isolated behind desks couldn't know what soldiers needed. Alexander's personal diary explanation after the war. A general failing to understand soldier experiences makes mistakes costing lives. Many lives. I visit frontlines not because I possess exceptional bravery or fearlessness, but because I accept responsibility completely. These men follow my orders. These soldiers risk their lives because I command them. The minimum obligation requires understanding what I request of them, understanding their suffering, sharing their sacrifice. Throughout World War II, dozens of senior officers, including British commanders and American generals, encountered General Alexander at the front lines without recognizing him. Because Alexander deliberately dressed like nobody important, resembling supply officer after extended field service, appearing as someone definitely not commanding 3-star general with authority. Sir, that's General Alexander became the shocked refrain when officers encountered an anonymous muddy American who revealed his true identity. The realization hit them hard. They'd been talking to their commanding general without knowing it. Why did he do this? Multiple reasons converge. Survival, generals in dress uniform attract sniper attention and marking for elimination. Intelligence, soldiers tell truth to ordinary-appearing officers without fear. Leadership, you cannot command what you fail understanding completely. Perhaps also because Alexander genuinely believed commanders belong with soldiers, not safely positioned behind them in comfortable headquarters. I prefer dying in foxhole alongside my men than living safely behind comfortable headquarters, Alexander wrote in his diary after the war. A commander unwilling sharing soldier danger possesses no fitness for command, no moral authority. For 4 years of warfare, Alexander lived at the front lines. He slept in foxholes. He walked under fire. He drove through enemy territory, all while dressed as someone completely unimportant. That cannot possibly be Alexander, people repeatedly said when encountering him, but it was, every single time. The general appearing like vagrant in dirty clothes, the officer dressed as supply sergeant, the commander walking alone through danger zones. The leader commanding not from throne, but from muddy vehicle at front lines. Sir, that's General Alexander, the 4 words summarizing most unconventional command approach of World War II. A decorated 3-star general who deliberately made himself invisible so he could command better, so he could understand his soldiers intimately, so he could live, and if necessary, die, alongside the warriors who followed his orders without question. His strategy worked. His soldiers loved him. His forces advanced faster. His casualty rates were lower. His men would follow him anywhere. And it all started because he was willing to dress like a bum, to disappear into the mud and dust, to become someone nobody noticed, so he could see everything that truly mattered. What incredible secrets of WW2 will you discover next? Subscribe to WW2 Records Maker today. Hit that bell for weekly historical revelations you find anywhere else. Share this video with friends who love history. Join our community of history enthusiasts now.